Have you ever laid down at night, rolled onto your side, and felt that sharp, burning pain shoot through your hip that makes you gasp and immediately flip back over? You know that feeling when you're exhausted, desperately trying to find a comfortable position, but no matter which way you turn, that hip just screams at you. Here's what's really happening inside your body right now, and why ignoring this could mean the difference between walking independently or struggling with every step in the coming months. That pain you're feeling isn't just about getting older or sleeping wrong. There's an actual condition attacking the outside of your hip joint right now, and it's called hip bursitis. Think of it like a small, fluid-filled cushion that sits between your bones and tendons. And when it gets inflamed, every movement, every position, every bit of pressure feels like someone's pressing a hot iron against your hip. But here's what most people don't realize until it's too late. When you lie on that painful side, you're putting your entire body weight directly onto an already inflamed area, and that's just the surface problem. The real issue goes much deeper, and it's connected to something you've been doing every single day without even knowing you're making it worse. Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal will change how you understand hip pain forever. So let me explain what's actually going on inside your hip right now in a way that makes perfect sense. Your hip has these small jelly-like sacs called bursae, and their entire job is to act like little shock absorbers between your bones and the tendons that move your leg. When everything's working right, you don't even know they're there. But when these bursae get irritated and swollen, that's hip bursitis, and suddenly every single movement becomes a reminder that something's wrong. The bursa on the outside of your hip, the one that's probably causing your nighttime misery, sits right where your hip bone pokes out the most. During the day, you might feel a dull ache or stiffness, but at night, when you lie on your side, your full body weight compresses that already angry, inflamed bursa against your mattress. It's like pressing on a bruise, except this bruise is deep inside and affects how you move, sleep, and live your daily life. Now, here's the part that really matters for anyone over 60. As we age, our bursae naturally lose some of their cushioning ability. The fluid inside them changes, and they become more vulnerable to inflammation. Your tendons aren't as flexible as they used to be either, which means more friction, more irritation, and more inflammation building up day after day. But here's what makes this particularly concerning for you right now, and why the next few weeks are absolutely critical. Most people think hip bursitis just happens randomly, but there are specific things you're doing every single day that are feeding this inflammation without you realizing it. Let me walk you through the hidden triggers that are making your hip worse right now. First, think about how many times you climb stairs, get in and out of your car, or stand up from a chair. Each of these movements requires your hip tendons to glide over that bursa, and when you're doing it dozens of times a day with an already irritated hip, you're basically rubbing sandpaper on an open wound. Then there's the way you sleep. Most people naturally curl up on their side because it feels comfortable, but when you have hip bursitis, you're spending 6 to 8 hours every night pressing all your weight onto that inflamed area. Your mattress might be too firm, pushing back against your hip, or too soft, letting your hip sink in at an awkward angle that stretches those tendons even more. But here's the trigger that catches almost everyone by surprise. Sitting for long periods, especially in soft couches or recliners, actually tightens up the muscles around your hip. When you finally stand up and start moving, those tight muscles pull harder on the tendons, which rub more aggressively against the bursa, creating even more inflammation. And there's one thing you're doing right now, probably multiple times a day, that's accelerating this damage faster than anything else. And it's so common that you'd never suspect it's the real problem. Now, let me tell you, when hip pain crosses the line from annoying to something you absolutely cannot ignore anymore. If your hip pain is keeping you awake most nights, that's your body sending you an urgent message that inflammation is out of control. When you start limping without even realizing it, or you catch yourself favoring one leg, that means your body is compensating, and soon your good hip, your knee, even your lower back will start hurting too, because they're doing extra work. Here's what really concerns me. If you feel pain that shoots down your leg, or if your hip feels warm to the touch, or if simple activities like putting on your shoes or getting out of bed become genuine struggles, you're looking at bursitis that's progressing beyond the early stages. The real danger isn't just the pain itself. It's what happens when that pain starts controlling your choices. You stop taking walks because it hurts. You avoid stairs, so you stay on one floor of your house. You quit gardening, dancing, playing with your grandchildren, all the things that keep you active and independent. And here's the brutal truth that nobody wants to hear. When you stop moving because of hip pain, your muscles weaken, your balance gets worse, and suddenly you're at a much higher risk for falls and serious injuries. But here's the good news that changes everything. You can start fixing this today with simple adjustments that work while you sleep and move through your day. If you want to stay ahead of solutions like these that can keep you active and independent, hit that subscribe button for Health After 60 right now, because what I'm about to share next could give you relief as soon as tonight. Let me give you some practical ways to get relief starting tonight. Things you can do right now without any special equipment or expensive treatments. First, let's fix your sleeping position because those 8 hours should be healing time, not pain time. When you lie on your side, place a pillow between your knees. And here's the critical part. Make sure that pillow is thick enough to keep your top leg level with your hip. This simple adjustment takes pressure off the bursa and stops your leg from pulling down and stretching those inflamed tendons. If you absolutely must sleep on the painful side, fold a soft towel or get a small cushion and place it just in front of your hip bone, not directly on it, but slightly forward so your weight distributes differently. Now let's talk about ice versus heat because most people get this completely wrong. In the first 48 hours, when that hip is angry and inflamed, ice is your friend. Wrap an ice pack in a thin towel and apply it to the outside of your hip for 15 minutes, 3 to 4 times a day. This reduces swelling and calms down that inflamed bursa. After a few days, once the sharp inflammation settles, gentle heat before bed can relax tight muscles and improve blood flow to help healing. But here's something you can do right this moment that most people never think about. Stand up. And instead of sitting back down in that same chair, try sitting on a firm cushion that raises you up a few inches higher. This changes the angle of your hip and reduces the strain when you stand up. Relief is just the beginning though, because here's how to fix this long term so it doesn't keep coming back month after month. Now I know this might sound backwards, but gentle movement is actually one of the best things you can do for hip bursitis as long as you're doing the right kind. Let me show you exactly what works. First, there's a simple stretch you can do right in bed before you even get up in the morning. Lay on your back, bend your knee on the painful side, and gently let it fall outward to open up your hip. Hold it there for 20 to 30 seconds, and you'll feel a gentle stretch on the outside of your hip. Do this 3 times every morning, and you're starting your day by loosening up those tight tendons instead of letting them stay stiff and pull on that bursa. Here's another one that's incredibly effective. Stand next to a counter or sturdy chair for balance and gently swing your affected leg forward and backward like a pendulum, keeping the movement small and controlled. This gets blood flowing, lubricates the joint, and keeps that bursa from getting stiff without putting pressure on it. Do this for about a minute 2 or 3 times throughout your day. Walking is actually fantastic for hip bursitis, but here's the technique most people miss. Take shorter steps and focus on keeping your hips level as you walk. Don't lean or sway to one side. Walking on flat, even surfaces for 10 to 15 minutes helps strengthen the muscles around your hip without aggravating the bursa. These movements work because they maintain mobility without compression or excessive friction. Now, here's what you absolutely must avoid, because these common activities and exercises will set you back weeks and make that inflammation 10 times worse than it is right now. Let me tell you about the activities that seem harmless, but are actually sabotaging your recovery every single day. First, standing with all your weight shifted onto one hip while you're cooking, washing dishes, or just chatting with someone. You probably don't even notice you're doing it, but this habit puts constant pressure on that bursa for minutes at a time, keeping it inflamed and irritated. Crossing your legs when you sit is another huge problem because it twists your hip and puts tension on those outer tendons, rubbing them right against the inflamed area. Now, here's where people really mess up their recovery. They think exercise is always good, So they push through high impact activities like jogging, aerobic X classes, or even aggressive stair climbing. Every time your foot hits the ground hard, shock waves travel up through your hip and pound that already angry bursa. Lunges and squats are particularly brutal because they load weight directly onto the hip joint at extreme angles. Even side lying leg lifts, the exercise everyone thinks is good for hips, can actually make bursitis worse because you're compressing the bursa against the floor while forcing the tendons to work overtime. Sitting on low, soft furniture like couches or car seats forces your knees higher than your hips, which tilts your pelvis and strains everything around that bursa. And here's something most people never connect to their hip pain. Carrying heavy bags or groceries on one side creates an uneven load that makes your hip work harder to keep you balanced. Now there's one supplement connection that can either help your recovery or make inflammation worse depending on what you're eating every single day. If you're finding this helpful and want more insights on managing your health after 60, make sure you're subscribed to Health After 60 so you don't miss what's coming next, because nutrition plays a bigger role in joint inflammation than most people realize. Here's something that might surprise you. What you eat can either fuel the inflammation in your hip or help calm it down from the inside out. Your body's inflammatory response doesn't just come from physical irritation. It's also driven by the foods you're putting into your system every single day. Let me explain how this works. Foods high in omega-3 fatty acids like salmon, mackerel, sardines, walnuts, and flax seeds actually help reduce inflammation throughout your entire body, including that angry bursa in your hip. On the flip side, foods loaded with refined sugars, white bread, pastries, and processed snacks spike your blood sugar and trigger inflammatory chemicals that make joint pain worse. Fried foods and things cooked in vegetable oils high in omega-6 fatty acids create an imbalance that promotes inflammation rather than fighting it. Here's what you should be adding to your plate. Colorful vegetables like spinach, kale, broccoli, and bell peppers are packed with antioxidants that combat inflammation. Berries, especially blueberries and strawberries, work the same way. Turmeric and ginger have natural anti-inflammatory properties that people have used for joint pain for centuries, and you can add them to meals or drink them as tea. Now let's talk about hydration, because this is huge and almost nobody connects it to joint health. When you're not drinking enough water, the fluid in your bursae becomes thicker and less effective at cushioning. Your tendons also need proper hydration to stay supple and glide smoothly. Aim for at least 6 to 8 glasses of water daily, more if you're active or it's hot outside. Even with perfect nutrition, though, you need to understand the realistic timeline for healing, because expecting too much too soon can lead to frustration and giving up right before things start to improve. Let me be completely honest with you about how long this actually takes to heal, because understanding the timeline will help you stay patient and consistent. Mild hip bursitis, if you catch it early and do everything right, can start feeling significantly better in about 2 to 3 weeks. But moderate to severe cases, the kind that's been bothering you for months, can take 6 to 8 weeks or even longer to fully resolve. The inflammation didn't happen overnight, and it won't disappear overnight either. Here's what a realistic recovery looks like. In the first week, if you're managing your activities and using ice properly, you should notice the sharp pain starting to dull. By week 3 or 4, you'll find that lying on your side doesn't wake you up anymore, and daily activities feel less painful. But here's the critical part. Feeling better doesn't mean you're completely healed. That bursa is still vulnerable, and if you jump back into all your old habits too quickly, you'll be right back where you started. Prevention is where the real work happens. Make it a daily habit to do those gentle stretches every morning. Pay attention to your posture throughout the day. Distribute your weight evenly when standing, and avoid sitting in one position for hours. Invest in a good supportive pillow for sleeping, and consider a cushion for chairs that are too low or too soft. Maintain a healthy weight, because every extra pound puts additional stress on your hips with every step you take. Keep moving, but stay smart about it. Regular gentle walks are far better than sporadic intense exercise. Here's the one thing that determines whether this comes back or stays gone, and it's all about the daily choices you make even after the pain disappears. Do you go back to crossing your legs, carrying heavy bags on one side, and ignoring those tight hip muscles? Or do you stay committed to the small adjustments that protect your hips for the long haul? Your independence, your ability to do the things you love, and your quality of life in the coming years all depend on the habits you build right now. If you want to stay on top of health strategies that keep you moving and independent, subscribe to Health After 60 because we're here to help you every step of the way. So let's bring this all together so you know exactly what to do starting right now. Your hip pain when lying on your side isn't something you just have to live with. It's hip bursitis, an inflammation of those small cushioning sacs in your hip. And you now know exactly why it hurts worse at night and what's been making it worse during the day. You've learned the hidden triggers like standing on one leg, sitting too long in soft furniture, and doing high impact activities that keep that inflammation fired up. You've got immediate relief strategies, the pillow between your knees, ice in the first 48 hours, and better sleeping positions that work tonight. You know the gentle movements and stretches that help healing, and just as importantly, you know what activities to avoid so you don't sabotage your progress. You understand that what you eat matters, that anti-inflammatory foods and proper hydration support healing from the inside, and you've got realistic expectations about recovery time so you can stay consistent without getting discouraged. Here's what I need you to remember most. If your pain is severe, getting worse despite trying these strategies, or if you're experiencing weakness, numbness, or inability to bear weight on that leg, please see a healthcare provider because you might need additional treatment. But for most people dealing with hip bursitis, these strategies can make a tremendous difference in your comfort, your sleep, and your ability to stay active. You have the power to take control of this right now. Don't let hip pain steal your independence or keep you from the activities and people you love. Start with 1 or 2 changes today, build on them tomorrow, and stay consistent. Your future self will thank you for taking action now instead of waiting until things get worse. If this video helped you understand your hip pain better, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button for Health After 60 right now, because we're creating content every week to help you stay healthy, active, and independent no matter what age you are. Drop a comment below and let me know if you've been dealing with hip bursitis and which strategy you're going to try first. I read every single comment and I'm here to support you on this journey. Take care of those hips, stay moving, and I'll see you in the next video.